Howdy, howdy, everybody. Happy freaking Saturday, you weekend warriors from coast to coast. It's 4 hours till midnight. And of course, I am pumped to be here with you on another awesome Saturday evening. I hope that your Saturday evening was fantastic. Mine was pretty good. It's been crazy for me because I've just been trying to work through what videos I want to make next, what reviews I want to do, what Steel Snobs episodes I want to do. It's been quite a week for me, but I'll say this. Through it all, the one thing I always know that I'm going to have time for is my Saturday and my Wednesday live streams. So shout out to all of you. Thank you to everyone who's here. Guys, on your way in, make sure to smash that like button. Give it a little tappy tap. Do it for me. Let YouTube know that we're here and we're live, baby. I got a Q&A going on today. I don't really know how these work. It's an option. It's like, you know what? I just typed in Q&A, and it gave me the option. So we're going to see how this actually works. He says, how is Rollo this evening? Okay, so I think what happens is on my Q&A screen, if you put a question mark at the end of your chat, apparently that shows up in this special little screen right here. And I'm going to switch over to the live chat real quick. The Q&A never ends, but I do want to make sure to shout everybody out. Shout out to Marco, first person in the chat. Shout out to Bluetooth Blades, Jim Miller, Mark Parks, Top Dog. Welcome in, man. Joseph S. We got Weldon Carey. I'm going to get through these. I promise. Chef Rocky in the house. Good to see you, man. IanCoat. He says, Roll, I have a lot of questions and I need them answered promptly. Ask away. Top Dog says, can you arrested if you do that in public? Where is it? Just rub your favorite knife and all will be good. You might be arrested. You might be questioned by the authorities. We'll see. Welcome into Scott Brew. IanCoat says, BRB4, when did Roll go ultra premium? Okay, so that was a knife that I reviewed last year. It's one that I've wanted to buy for a very long time. The one that I got in was part of a pass round, but I took some epic shots of it, and it just feels wrong not to showcase some of my favorite pictures. Yes, the BRB4 is awesome, and I will own one. I don't know if I'll go for the 4 if they might have a different one, but Blaurock Blades is fantastic. And my time with that knife was very memorable to me. I know that when I have the opportunity, I will buy one. But every time there's a drop, they sell out so dang quickly. It's not even funny. One of these days. I'm going to hop on over to the questions tab. See, Bluetooth Blade says, Rollo, do you still have your stitch? Yeah. Of course. Listen, I go through knives and I sell knives and I buy knives and I sell more knives so I can buy more knives. It's a vicious cycle. But there is some knives that I'm just not willing to sell because I love them so much. Or at least I'm not there yet where I could sell them. The stitch is definitely one of those. Hold on. Here we go. Boom. Microtech stitch Ramlock. Love this knife. I was in love with the stitch design well before the Ramlocks came out. I'm not a huge automatic guy. Like I've got a few automatics this year, but when they came out with the Ramlock version, the manual stitch, I knew I had to have it. It was inevitable. Like death and taxes, I knew it was just a matter of time. And then finally I was able to grab one. I got this, what was it, November of last year? We're almost coming up on a year with this knife. This has survived so many knife sales. It's American made. It's got the fluted aluminum, which is awesome. This design just speaks to me on so many different levels. I love it. And it's got excellent cutting geometry too. You know, I go through cardboard like mad. So, good cutting geometry is important to me. Of course, I still have my stitch. I love it, man. I love it. And I hope that you are happy with your new stitch. I heard you got one with the black and the satin two-tone. If that had been available when this came out, I would have bought it. I would have. They didn't have that option at that time. That came out afterwards. But I love my stitch. Haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. Thank you for joining the Q&A. All right, I'm going to hop on back to the live chat. Hey, welcome into Sterling Stutes. Thanks for being a channel member. He says, I scored a blue carbon fiber Asher warning and 20 CV with titanium backspacer. Congrats, man. Congrats. One of these days, when they release the Akuto again, I'm going to pick one up. That's the one that I wanted. I had the opportunity to buy it, and I held off, and I'm kicking myself for it because that's definitely the one that I wanted. 100%. Welcome into Blade Shooter. IanCoat says, Roll, you want a Zon? I just need $500. only 500 big ones. I do. Do you have a line on one? I might do some searching in the background. Let me guess. You're probably going to send me to House of Blades, right? I'm going there right now before you can suggest it. I'm ahead of the game today. You can't see it because I haven't shared my screen yet, but let's type in Noom Zon. Noom Zon. Okay, there's options. Is the drop point available? No. Is the other drop point available? No. What about the Tanto? The Tantos are always stay in stock for a little bit. Okay, so at least House of Blades doesn't have. Don't tease me like that, Ian. I will take it seriously when you say it's available. You just need the money. You can't threaten me with a good time. All right. A shout out to Neil McKenzie on his 7-month membership anniversary. Neil, thank you so much, man, for being a channel member for 7 months.
Oh, yeah.
And he used his 7-month anniversary to leave us with one word, and that word was raisins. Neil, I appreciate you. I do not like raisins. IanCoat says, okay, I'll take 450. Do you have the drop point or the Tanto? Let me know. Hey, welcome into Rainy. She says, I love my smock. Was the first Spyderco I fully tricked out. Man, smock is a great design. IanCoat says, I know Roll won't put up even 450, Jim. Is it the drop point? Is it the drop point? Don't tempt me. Splitting Slices, welcome in. He says, howdy, RSB mods members and all here tonight. Welcome in, man. Thanks for joining us. All right. IanCoat says, House of Blade doesn't have Zons. They don't. They're out of stock right now. Everyone's out of stock. I do my rounds. I look at DLT, White Mountain Knives. Yes, they do have them occasionally. House of Blades has them occasionally. It all depends. If you look at the lead time on Chris Reeves' website, you understand exactly why you never know when something's going to come out, because these retailers ordered them years in advance. The lead time for a retailer to get a Chris Reeve knife is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like GP Knives and DLT and all these places. They ordered them years in advance. It's crazy. All right. Snot Reg says, I have both of the Zons. Very nice, man. IanCoat says, I was about to sell you my personal Zon. Just got to sent me $450. Which one is it? Is it the drop point or is it the Tanto? He says, I have the drop point. I was kind of joking. I'd sell the rest of my collection before my Don't tease me, Ian. That's not kind, okay? I've been hunting for a drop point Zon, and I've been there for every drop, and they always sell out in a matter of like 60 seconds. It's ridiculous. He says, I might have an in with the social media person at House of Blades to get my CRKs. I might need you to make the connection. You know, hook a brother up. Welcome into Knife Plebe. He says, sup fam, Blade Runner HQ is going until midnight on Whatnot tonight. Right on. All right. All right, guys. So you might be wondering, what did you carry today? I carried a couple things, but I can't show you the other knife because I haven't dropped my review on it yet. And I'm not doing that. I'm not revealing new knives that I just got that I haven't dropped content on. I'll make an exception for this because it's not technically a knife. It's going to be part of a comparison video I'm doing here. This is the Peachy G9 utility cutter, and it's such a great secondary utility knife to carry. And I'll call it a knife because it's got a blade. Okay, it's a utility razor cutter, gravity option, made by a company called Peachy, like Pichi, in Canada. It's Canadian made. And I gotta say, first time I've ever experienced something Canadian made, and I'm impressed. This guy is great, fits in the fifth pocket. It's going to be a part of a larger comparison video that I do with other utility blades like this, and also like this, and also this. It's going to be a fun episode. I'm really looking forward to it because utility cutters are becoming very popular in today's EDC world. They're not just for the hardcore construction worker anymore, and I can see why. It's a lot of fun to carry one. They're very useful, and they've come a long ways from the old Milwaukee Fastback. Let me see if I got any more questions. Drinkwater says, is USPS informed delivery the worst new technology for married knife guys? Yes. So I have it because I like to know when my stuff arrives. I've saved myself plenty of heartache just by knowing when my stuff is supposed to be here. But because of that, I also get really excited when I see something that's about to be delivered and I'm like, oh, I don't know which package this is. And it turns out to be something for my wife. I get there, I'm like, oh yeah, get to the mailbox, and it's something that's not what I ordered. Yeah. Another Q&A question. Rollshambo, what was your very first knife, and what was the first good knife you purchased? So I actually have my very first knife. I'll show you. I couldn't tell you a brand to save my life. This was given to me when I was 7 years old by my father, who has since left this world. He passed away in 2020. That year, I decided to refinish this knife. So I refinished everything by hand. This is a little fixed blade, and I couldn't tell you the brand name on it. What I can tell you is that it's a little skinning knife. It was gifted to me by my father when I was 7 years old on my 7th birthday, because as a little kid, I had this really terrible habit of stealing his pocket knives. I should say borrowing. I shouldn't say stealing. He would be away at work, and I knew that he kept his pocket knives. He had a lot of case knives. He had Buck, the classic brands, right? And I would borrow his pocket knives. And one time I got caught, and it was bad because I got caught because I cut myself. And the parents were angry. I got the whole knives are not toys speech. I was 6 years old. And so So to teach me some responsibility, and so that I would stop borrowing my father's pocket knives, I received this on my next birthday, on my 7th birthday, and I've had it ever since. This has gone through 3 different states. It used to look a lot worse than this because I tried to learn how to sharpen on this knife, and I scratched the hell out of this blade, man. When my father passed away, may he rest in peace, I was looking at this knife, and I looked at it. I was like, you know, it's time to do the right thing, to refinish the blade. So I did a grit progression starting from 300 grit down up to 600 grit to 1,000 grit to 1,500 grit to 3,000 grit to 6,000 grit, and took all the scratches off, and then I resharpened the edge. And here's the thing, guys, this is not anything special, right? This is cheap stainless steel. You know, it's from years and years and years and years and years ago. But through my entire life, I'm turning 34 this month. This knife has been with me through thick and thin. And to this day, when people ask me, you know, if you could only have one knife for the rest of your life, what would it be? It'd be this one. So that was my first knife. Now, you also asked, what was the first good knife that you purchased? The first good knife that I purchased was a Spyderco. The same Spyderco that I turned into the Alien Boss Manix 2. Love this knife. Love this knife. This is the first good knife that I purchased. I've gone through my fair share of Kershaws and CRKTs, you know, long before I became serious about the hobby. I did wildland firefighting right out of high school, and so I carried a plethora of, you know, the lesser cool knives. I wasn't really into it. I didn't know. I didn't know. And when I started really getting into the hobby and everyone was talking about Spydercos, at the time I was like, listen, paramilitary 2s are just ugly. They grew on me. I have 2 of them now. But at the time, this was my first Spyderco, and I thought that the Manix 2 had the best look out of all of them. I love the idea of having a super strong lock. And later, it got turned into the Alien Boss Manix 2, and so it's perfect in my eyes. And so yeah, that was both my first knife and my first good knife. Ginger Fisher 75 has a question. He says, "Are you really Zach Stuff with a face?" No, I am not. I'm not related to Zach Stuff, but shout out to the Zach Stuff channel. Zach is a super cool channel, super cool member of the community as well. I don't like benchmade enough to be Zach Stuff. Come on now. I don't even own a benchmade. NceFast says, a little girl kicks a soccer ball. It goes 10 feet and comes back to her. How is this possible? She's kicking it 10 feet uphill. I probably got that one wrong. All right, I'm going to go back to the live chat now. Guys, if you put a question mark at the end of your comment, it will pop up in the questions tab, and I'll be going back to that throughout the live stream. I know I've missed a lot in this chat. Let me go ahead and scroll up a little bit. Hey, shout out to John Blackman, channel member for 9 months. He says, Leatherman charged titanium plus 2 Knipex Cobra XS. Was that your carry today, man? Sweet. Thanks for sharing. Welcome into Double D as well. IanCoat says, so Peachy did an plus job? An plus? Or did you mean an A plus job? I see what you did there. It took me a second. I'm tired. It's been a long day. But we got there eventually. All right. Drink water, has a question and says, how long would it take to get Proxima Centauri B traveling at 39,897 kilometers an hour? I'm definitely not looking this up on Google. Proxima. Wow, I can't spell. Proxima Centauri B traveling at 39,897. All right. $39,890. 39,897. According to Google, roughly 80,000 years. I probably got that one wrong as well. I did say ask me anything. I didn't say that I would answer it correctly. I will do my best, though. IanCoat says, I'm a warehouse worker and stand by my Fastback. That's good, man. You know your tools and you know what works for you. All I'm saying is that we have come a long ways when it comes to utility knives, and we can thank the EDC community for that. Some things work really well, and that's great. And if you just need a tool that's a tool, perfect. But for the person that is not using it specifically for a W-2 type job where you just need it to be set it, forget it, whatever, I spend my time on the company dime and they're going to replace the utility razor blades. Something like this could be a really great carry. Really great. Or I will say this, EDC, specifically EDC style utility razors are cool because it means that you can carry, there it is. You can carry something like this for the mundane. So if I'm also carrying something like, a $600 knife, or, if I'm carrying something else and maybe I don't want to use it for that super mundane task, maybe I don't want to clog it up for the tape specifically, I don't hesitate to use my knives, no matter how much they cost. But there are some tasks where I'm like, no, I don't want to use my knife for that. I will if I have to, but if I have something else, as say like a backup carry, something like this Peachy G9 is going to be great for tearing through boxes, for tearing through tape. I don't care. I can replace the blade. Also, it's really easy to annoy people with this because this is super fidgety. Sometimes if I'm carrying a large knife, it scares people when I fidget with them. Apparently people's feelings matter. Welcome into Addicted to Blades. Good to see you, man. Rainey says, I get all the packages here. My husband here we go. Another crazy knife, I bet. So for you, does your husband ask you, how many knives do you actually need? Another knife? The answer is most people only need 1 or 2 knives. If we're talking about need, we need to stop the conversation right there. If you are in the hobby, you're not in the hobby because you need anything. You're in the hobby because you enjoy it. It took me a minute once I started getting more serious about collecting and about the hobby. It took me a minute to just admit that. And once I did, things got way better for me. Just admit it. Just admit it. You don't need it. You're in the hobby because you enjoy it. Life's too short. Rainey also says, switched it up the other day and bought a backpack. Well, you need something to carry all your knives. Right? Josh says, I'm a hardcore construction worker, carry a Fastback all the time. I'm not surprised. That seems to be the job-specific utility razor of choice for construction workers. IanCoat says, Roll runs to the mailbox for his wife's G-strings. I run to the mailbox whenever I see something's delivered because our mailman has this terrible habit, this awful habit of like opening up all the mailboxes and then putting the package in the wrong one. So it'll say that it's delivered, but it went to the wrong one. And that's crushing to my soul when that happens. And it's happened multiple times now. All right. We're going to catch up with the chat. Top Dog says, I'm not here because I love it. Sharp things scare me. I'm here because this is where all the cool kids hang out. Nice, man. Hey, welcome into Oreo Dave. Good to see you, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for being a channel mod, Dave. We appreciate you. Hey, Chris says, my name is Chris and I'm an addict. You know, me too. Me too. Trying to stay hydrated. He says, no, he taught me as many pew-pews and knives as it takes till your heart's content. You know, that's another thing I wish I could put on the channel. If I didn't know that doing so would probably kill my chances with the algorithm, I would probably also have other content that includes pew-pews. But as it is, it's tough enough getting throttled just by putting up knives and knife content. Apparently, it didn't used to be this way. It used to be that knife content did not get throttled naturally by the YouTube algorithm. Now it does. Go figure. NceFast says, I came home from dinner tonight in the pouring rain to see a package sitting on the door of the mailbox getting drenched. Thankfully, it wasn't something that could have gotten damaged. USPS sucks. Yes. That's the worst, man. That's the worst. Josh says, I'm only here for Tri-State. What am I? A detour? Are you waiting for Tri-State to go live? I see how it is. Jim Miller. Jim, did I say hi? I had to have said hi. How's it going, Jim? Level on up. Welcome in, man. He says, thanks, Top Dog. You're a cool kid, too. Yeah. I think the cool kid table is wherever Top Dog sits, realistically. Jim says, my wife says the same thing, 40 years, the 11th. Wow. Nice. Congrats, man. Congrats on 40 years. That's a long time. That is a long time. Hey, welcome into Todd Carr. Thanks for being a channel member. He says, hey, evening, everyone. Been lurking. Hey, man, stay lurking. We'll keep on keeping on. All right. So, hold on. I'm doing weird stuff with my screen. Just wait. All right. So, where is it? Searching for my chat box. All right, let me see if I got any more questions. More questions. Ask me anything, guys. This one's from Pacific Northwest Funworks. He has a question. It says, happy Saturday, sir. My question is, do you think budget knives quality have increased with higher end stuff while higher end stuff is decreasing? If so, why is that in your opinion? That's a great question. I don't know if I would say that higher end stuff is decreasing. I would say that it's more at a plateau. For the longest time, there was a big gap between a knife that cost $100 and a knife that cost $300. And I'm going to start that like really premium at the $300 price range. Now, what's happened is the competition for budget knives and what we want as a community from budget knives has driven the quality of budget knives up, and they had a lot of room to make up. Meanwhile, the super premium knives have always been on the more expensive end. Even like, for example, if you wanted a Praetorian when they first released, they were still over the $300 mark. And at the time, they were considered like top end, high end Grail, and a lot of people still consider them to be that. And that's just an example. But budget knives still have a ton of knives that suck in that price range. The difference is that now we have more companies that are focusing on that quality. They're focusing on things like blade centering. On a budget knife, who cares if it's centered as long as it works, right? That was the mentality. Now there's a lot of enthusiasts, a lot of collectors out there, and they demand better quality. In fact, they will not buy substandard quality. But if you go to a gas station in Wyoming, if you go to a truck stop gas station in Wyoming, you'll still find gas station knives that are awful. So I don't think that the quality at the top end is decreasing. I think it's plateauing because there's only so much you can do. Meanwhile, budget knives are catching up. We're getting more and more quality, and we also have companies that are finding ways to produce higher quality with higher quality materials at a lower cost. But the people at the premium level, they don't want to bring their price down because they also have to deal with inflation. So budget knives are catching up for what we're getting. What we're going to see is a lot of competition in the $100 to $300 range. That is really where you're going to see the biggest strides being made. I, for one, would have no issue if knives past the $300 price point just were these mid-tech level knives, right? Where it was custom process or something seriously impressive. I think that they're catching up. I don't think that the high-end quality is decreasing. I do think that some companies really lean on their past and lean on a loyal customer base. A good example of this is benchmade. Benchmade is they've tripled inflation on their prices for the same models. I understand inflation. I do. But they've taken it to the next level, and a lot of times on those knives that they made more expensive, they didn't make them better. They just made them more expensive. Is the quality decreasing? No. But we are seeing more premium knife companies leaning on their loyal customer base to continue to operate without actually innovating. And that kind of pisses me off the more I think about that. I hope that answered your question. That's just kind of my thoughts. Chef Rocky says, weekday do you do for a living? Weekday do I do for a living? I'm not, Rocky, I'm not sure if I truly understand your question, but I think I get the gist of it. You want to know what I do for work? I work in the financial sector. The company I work for basically brokers auto refinance deals. And I have a team of people that works under me. So I'm a manager, and my team of people make sure that the paperwork that the customer signs gets to their lender, and it gets there clean, and the deal funds. Without giving out too much personal information, that's what I do. I'm essentially a glorified babysitter of adults. I like my job. I like being a manager. I like my team. My team works very hard, and they've been with me for many years, ever since I started. So it's a good job. It's a good workplace, a good environment. But when I'm done for the day, I come back and I do this. But I don't do this for a living. The channel doesn't pay my bills yet. I would love if it did. If I could do this full time, I would. But hopefully that answers your question. The Pawn says, natural silky radio voice awesomeness or YouTube voice filter, asked with no intended offense meant. I get it though. And I blame Tri-State because Tri-State uses what's called a voice changer. Shout out to Cole. Shout out to Tri-State. Super entertaining channel. There's a difference between using a recording setup, which everybody does, okay, and using a voice changer. Tri-State uses a voice changer to make his voice much deeper. It drops it several octaves. I don't have a voice changer. What I do have is a high quality microphone. It's a dynamic microphone. No, it's condenser. I forget. And then I have what's called a Go XLR interface, because this is an XLR microphone, so it doesn't plug in via USB. So this plugs into my Go XLR, which plugs into my computer and allows me to record and to put my mic out there. I use what's called EQ to clean it up. It doesn't change my voice. It just makes it more clear. So I don't have my voice being dropped several octaves. It's not a voice changer. That's what Tri-State uses. But I do have what I would consider to be a semi-professional microphone and a semi-professional recording setup. So it's the difference between, going to a recording booth and recording a song versus recording a song on your phone microphone. You get clear quality, and I get to cut out the background noise using what's it called? Noise gates. Yes. But no, I do not use a voice changer. I get asked that question all the time. No offense taken. And by the way, the Pawns, thank you for being a channel member. All right. So I think I've caught up. On the questions. Nope. Knife Nut 69 says, what do you consider your cutoff point for spending on a knife? That depends on a few factors. So I'll be brutally honest about this. Up until recently, I was terrible about putting higher price purchases on credit cards. So what was before my cutoff point was what I felt like I could pay off in a quick time frame. I'm proud to announce that I no longer do that. The channel has zero debt. Everything is paid off. So now my cutoff point is based off of what my budget is and what my goals are. I used to buy knives willy-nilly. I'd be like, oh, sharp and shiny, I want that. Irresponsible. I'll admit it. So now my cutoff point is based on what knife am I hunting? What have I saved up for? What do I know that I can liquidate quickly in order to get it? So for example, right now there is a grail that I know is dropping within the next 3 or 4 days, and it's going to cost a lot of money. I'm in the process of figuring out what knives I'm going to sell to be able to make it happen. And if I can, that's my cutoff point. So my cutoff point is whatever I can afford versus what I want. But I'm becoming way more intentional about how I spend money. And I'm looking at it from the lens of what do I need to do to get that? That's my budget. And then I go from there. The channel makes a little bit of money every month. So I have a little bit coming in. So I know I can count on a little bit. And then I have other knives that come in and they go out, and they come in and they go out. And that's a fluid amount. So it's basically whatever I'm willing to budget. But I'll put it to you like this. To this day, I've never spent more than, I want to say my most expensive knife was $650. Yeah. Some of the knives that I'm targeting are higher than that. Blaurock, the BRB4, that's at least $750. At least $750. Koenig Mini Arius, we're talking $700-800. Oz Roosevelt, we're talking, $600, $700, $800. Multiple customs that I have on my list, thousands. It's just a matter of what am I going to do to make it happen. And for anybody out there who's considering going into debt to buy knives, don't do it. I learned that mistake. It's really easy to have a credit limit and say, you know what, I got this. But there will be another knife that you really want, and another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that. And it's not worth it. It's much better to save up your money, create your budget, be intentional. Or have a budget ready. Know that you are a fan of knives that typically cost between a certain price range. Typically, $250 to $350 is a really great range. You get some amazing knives in that price range. But just know that that's who you are and that's what you want, and have that capital available so that when something sharp and shiny does drop that you inevitably will want, you'll be ready. Budget appropriately. Jay Korskinen says, where is Sparta?
This is Sparta!
Spartan, kick the like button, everybody. Thank you. All right. I think I'm finally caught up with the... with the questions. I'll go back there in a minute. Hey, shout out to Chef Rocky. Thanks for the $2 super. He says RJ from Blade Runner HQ is selling a Chris Reef a CRK. Nice, man. My knife spending budget is tied up at the moment because I have something in mind that's going to be available in the next couple of days, and that's what I want. So I have to be responsible for the next couple of days. Hey, thanks for becoming a channel member. It says new member, but I know you've been here before, Blue. Thanks, man. Thanks for becoming a channel member once again. And shout out to Darkwater Actual, says, what are you selling? I haven't figured it out yet, but I will say this. I will post it first on my members only Discord. And you know what? Let's head on over there and see what the people are carrying today. Shout out to Darkwater Actual. And we'll do the screen share in 3, 2, 1. Boom. There we go. Okay. So I'm scrolling up to today, and we're going to start off with the carry from Mr. IanCoats. He's got the Sabenza and a tactile rock wall. Very nice, sir. I like it. He says, I always forget how freaking minuscule the rock wall is. I haven't tried one yet. All right, Chris Waris has the Civivi Elementum in, I believe that's the Jungle Wear carbon fiber, right? Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and that looks to be, I'm not recognizing that one at the very top. Is that a Miguron? All right. The Pons is carrying a Kaiser. Which one is that? Help me out, guys. Jim Miller's got the American Dream in the background. He's carrying a Spyderco. Is that a Sage 2? Spyderco Sage. I believe that's a Sage 2. A Spyderco Smock, and that's a J-Cal. Right? Sage 5. My bad. I thought the Sage 5 had the compression lock. That looks like the liner lock version. Yep, J-Cal by Jason Grant. Nice. I could have sworn the Sage 5 had the compression lock, and the Sage 2 was the one with the liner lock. I could be wrong. I don't know a whole lot about this the Sage. Oh, all right. Ian's also got is that a patch on a wallet? Man, I have not gone down the rabbit hole for patches yet, guys. I can only have so many bad spending habits. I'm going to catch up with the chat. Let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. All right. Chat, where are you? Hey, shout out to Lone Star Talboy. Welcome in, man. Thanks for being a channel member. He says, carry of the day, the Cold Steel Luzon 6 and the CJRB Pyrite Original. Very cool. Welcome into Mr. Eddie. B. Devious says, Rollshambo, spill them on the next great knife purchase in the next 3 days. All right. So, I'll you know what? I'll share with the class, even though it might not be something that is a good idea. I'll share with the class. If you go to DLT and you go to their drops, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm just going to pull this up one time for the people in the back. In 3 days, 12 hours, 14 minutes, and what is now 46 seconds, this is dropping. And I've wanted one of these for a very long time, but I cannot get it without making some sacrifices, without selling some things. One of these days, it's going to happen. So 2 things have to happen. 1, the funds have to line up. 2, I also have to be quick enough on the draw to get one. And here's the thing. Sometimes these sell out immediately, even at this price. And sometimes they stick around for a couple hours. So it's one of those things where the funds have to line up. So I'm going to have to sell some knives to make that happen. But also it has to be available long enough to be able to grab it. That's the fun of the hunt, though. If you didn't know, now you know. We'll see. All right. Does anyone have any steel comparisons they'd like me to do? Let's head on back to the chat. All right. I'm scrolling. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anybody. All right. All right. Let's check out the questions. I know there's more questions than this. All right. Jim says there's more to his being a dick, but the lead tester is for bulk steel, not knife blades. Are we talking about... Who are we talking about? I don't want to make too many assumptions. Oreo Dave says, Rollshambo, scroll up to yesterday's posts. Okay. Let's do that. What did I miss yesterday? Oh, we got some Severns. We got some Severns in the chat. Very nice. And of course, some awesome photos from Barbarian Brawny. Shout out to Brawny. If you're in the chat, Brawny, say hi. Oreo Dave got the new Winter Blade Co. Severn from the pre-order. Very nice. Very nice. That's looking good, man. When I reviewed it, I was very impressed. I really liked it. Even though it does not use magnets, at least in the sense that we're used to seeing, I thought that it was super cool. Brian Winters is an absolute genius. And he's not the only one that got a Severn. One Sneaky Bee also got one with the laser bacon. I thought that was crazy. Brian called it laser bacon. Those Severns are so cool. Very cool. All right. I think I got to catch up on today's carries now. Let's see. Rainey's got a couple different knives. Got the, looks like the Crewwear Paramilitary 2, Microtech, Ultratech, MKM fixed blade, which I'm not familiar with. And then the Jack Wolf Knives low drag jack, right? That's called the low drag, I believe. Right? Mr. Eddie's got that's got to be a custom. I have no idea what that is, Eddie. Help a brother out, man. What is that? Darkwater Actual is carrying a couple cool knives. One of those is very familiar. That would be the Vosti Thunderbird, and I'm not actually familiar with the one on top of that. What is that? You guys got some cool carries today. I can't keep up. All right. B. Devious says, just did a flipper delete on my Mini Arius. It comes back on Monday. Can't wait to get her back. Mini Arius is a grail. Hope you get one, Rollo. Dude, me too. Me too. That's one of those that I'm definitely hunting for. Would love to have one. Nobody listens to Eric says, oh, we're talking about CBRX's claims about HRC testing. I thought so. I don't want to assume too much because I'm trying to avoid drama. It is difficult because I can't watch a video. Like, I'll say this. You have to give CBRX some props for creating a stir, because So many channels wish that they could do Rockwell hardness testing, but don't, because Rockwell hardness testers are expensive. Legitimate ones for knives. We're talking about an indenter style Rockwell hardness tester. CBRX has created a stir because he uses a Lieb rebound style tester, which he has fooled people into thinking is accurate. And the reason why I say this is because he's very specific in his methodology. What he does is he will run 4 or 5 readings and then average them out and then say, well, it's accurate within 0.3. But let me ask you this. Given that it's not meant to be used on knives because the density and the weight of the knife is not great enough to get an accurate reading, what do you think the accuracy of pulling 5 inaccurate results is going to be? If you guessed inaccurate, you would be correct. But because he averages it out, it comes up with a somewhat believable number, and it leads people to believe that it's accurate. The reason the industry doesn't use them is because you cannot trust them. Could it be close on some? Sure. How could we know? We can't. You can't trust it. And guys, I'm not trying to down his channel or kill his credibility. I put up a video. I'll be completely candid about this for a second. I put up a video basically calling him out, and I decided to take it down because in that video, it was really hard for me to remain objective. I don't want to tear down anybody's channel. I think that testing out knives is very important. I don't agree with his methodology because it's inaccurate. Manufacturer says don't use a Lieb tester on knives. Okay. Laren Thomas says you can't get any accuracy. Okay. Like, if the manufacturer and the most trusted person, the most trusted authority in our community says you can't get any accuracy from it, that's good enough for me. This has been readily accepted, publicly accepted information for the longest time, but people forget. There's a lot of new people in the hobby, and that methodology makes it easy to believe. He makes it believable, and you have to give him his props for that. But the issue I have is that he uses it to create a narrative that is just not true. You know, that bothers me. So I made a video, and I pointed out the things that I had an issue with, and I let it run for a couple days, and then I unlisted it. And I unlisted it because ultimately I don't want to take down anybody's channel. I don't want to start drama. What I wanted to do was to show my audience why I don't really, like, if somebody comments on one of my videos and says, well, CBRX came back and it tested at 55 HRC. Like, cool. What about the T in China? Because that doesn't mean anything to me. But I do want to avoid drama, and I don't want to damage anybody else's channel. That's why I unlisted it. So the video was out. It got 500 views. I decided to take it down. I still have it. I could make it public again if I wanted to. But the question is, how much energy do I really want to spend fighting that battle that I should not have to fight? If people truly want to believe without doing any research, without listening to any reason, if they truly want to believe those results, who am I? Who am I to tell them to do otherwise? It's a free country, at least the one that I'm broadcasting from, and people can do whatever they want. Shout out to Darkwater Actual for the $2 super. He says AM8 Gladiator 2. Nice. I'm familiar with AM8. The brand, I actually haven't tested out any of their knives yet. Blade Lab says, easy way to know if it's accurate, compare the results of a Lieb tester and an indent tester on a couple of the same blades. I agree. You're not wrong. Part of my problem with CBRX is that he was offered that opportunity, and instead of actually taking up the channel that offered that to him on that opportunity, he said no. And people don't have to believe my numbers. My channel is just for entertainment. It's okay for a channel to be for entertainment. It's also okay to stand behind your method and to actually validate it, which is my whole thing. I asked CBRX multiple times, validate your method, test it against an indent style tester. And when given the opportunity, publicly, he said no. So that lack of interest in validating it doesn't do anything for me. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love it if we could actually say, you know what? You can get accurate results out of a $200 piece of equipment. But I would say that for someone that's interested in testing these things, that would be a very important thing to do. But he's not interested. Top Dog says, we want testing drama. Blade Lab says, I've tested about 80 blades using a lead tester, and my results closely match results people have gotten using an indentation style tester. I would love to see that, man. I would love to see someone do that publicly. James Gibson says, Spyderco's Manix M4 is back in stock. Love my Rex 45. Is M4 any good? M4 is going to be a decent steel. It's going to be a decent steel if you don't need corrosion resistance. M4 is going to give you decent wear resistance. I don't think that it's super... You know what? Hold on. I'll pull it up. We'll do a quick comparison. M4. CPM M4. Yeah. So, according to this, and I'll zoom in. This is Laren Thomas's knife steel rating, by the way. CPM M4, powder metallurgy steel, decent toughness, 6.5 on the rating for toughness, 6 on the rating for wear resistance, but only a 4 for the rating on corrosion resistance. It's not a stainless steel. So M4 is going to give you good toughness, which is great, especially if you have a slicey edge geometry. Good toughness allows you to lower your edge angle and get more edge retention specifically through the blade geometry. So blade geometry can make up for things like overall HRC better than a knife steel property can. So wear resistance, which a lot of people inaccurately call edge retention, wear resistance is one of those things that people believe is the end all be all, but it's not. Edge geometry makes a huge difference when it comes to how long it's going to hold that edge retention. The higher the toughness, the lower that angle can be and maintain its ability to keep cutting. A good example of this is going to be if you were to look up the rope cut tests done by Pete from Cedric and Ada, and he has cataloged all of his information. Did they do a CPM M4? They did. Okay, so check it out. CPM M4 performed 620 cuts with the Spyderco Mule Team. That's really, really good, actually. Performed about the same as CTS XHP. Roughly around the same Rockwell hardness, too. That's pretty interesting. So it outperformed, specifically with the Mule Team knife, it outperformed the LMAX RWL34 CPM 4V, LC200M Super Blue, but it also did get outperformed marginally by 20CV, M390, M398, S90V, ZDP 189, PMA 11, S110V, K390, MagnaCut, and Maximate. So if edge retention is the name of the game, there you go. Love my Rex 45. Is M4 any good? Yeah, I would say that M4 is pretty good. All right. I got some stuff going on in the chat. Hold on. Hey, shout out to Darkwater Actual for the $5 super. He says, cash towards your grail, brother. Also just purchased an Asher Spiro blue carbon fiber warnie. Looked cool. I know nothing of Asher knives, though. Have a good night. Hey, man, thank you so much for the $10 super. Thank you. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. That does help. And congrats on your new Asher knife. Lone Star says, does Viagra come with a guaranteed HRC range? Guaranteed 65 Rockwell. All right. Blade Lab says, I agree that CBRX kind of crushed his own credibility when he turned down that offer. If you believe in what you do and you've already busted the knife's lock and you've already said that it's softer than cheese, what do you have to lose by sending the knife to somebody else to validate your testing method? That's all I'm going to say on that. Again, I took down my video because I don't want to blast his channel. I don't want to create that drama. People can believe whatever they want to believe. That's my stance. And I stand by the fact that if it was a valid way and an accurate and consistent way in testing knives, the industry would use it far more often. The fact that it's not should say a whole lot. All right. Drinkwater says, I chopped some stuff in my garden with my M4 Yo Jumbo and it's stained. It's still awesome. Yeah, it's not corrosion resistant at all. To give people an idea of the level of corrosion resistance, let's go back to the knife steel comparison sheet. Let's see. What other knives? I'm just going to select all the knife steels, okay? And then I'm going to filter just by the rating. What other knife steels have a rating of 4? 10V, 15V, 4V, K390, M2, Rex 45, Vanitas 8, Z-Max. There you go. So if you're okay with the corrosion resistance of any of those steels, there you go. I will say this, if you polish that steel, it is more corrosion resistant. That is something you can do to get more corrosion resistance in a steel, is polish it. I learned that in one of my Steel Snobs videos that I was doing research for. Polishing the steel makes it naturally more resistant to corrosion. I love going down those rabbit holes. All right, let's check out another one. All right. Blade Lab says Pete's edge retention results don't make sense compared to Laren's edge retention tests. So if you're going to take Laren as the be-all end-all, you have to call Pete's method bogus. Not necessarily, and I'll tell you why. There's a difference between a Catra edge retention test, which is what Laren is doing, versus a rope cut edge retention test, which is what Pete is doing. And Laren actually addresses this in one of his videos. The material that you're cutting makes a vast difference. The problem with Catra is that while it is an extremely controlled environment, it's basically cutting paper, right? It's how many paper coupons can it cut before it doesn't cut anymore, and it measures that versus a rope cut, which there's a lot of variables involved. So what they are is two different data sets. One's not more accurate than the other. They're just data sets based upon a certain situation. I would say that Pete's test is more real life intensive because most people are not going to be sitting there cutting thousands of sheets of paper. However, on the other hand, the Catra test is going to give you more consistent results because the amount of pressure being applied, the blade, and I'll say blade because it doesn't look like a regular knife. The geometry is all the same on all of the steels that Laren uses for his Catra test. On the Cecil rope cut test that Pete does, he does a number of different knives, and you can't necessarily account for the level of force he puts into each cut. But that is also a real world situation. It's a real world scenario. Cutting rope is something people would actually do. Cutting pieces of paper, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that influencers and knife channels cut paper all the time, but it doesn't really give you a real world result. What it does give you is a baseline of data. So what I like to do actually is I like to compare the two and see, because you can get a lot of information by comparing a couple different data sets. Nobody listens to Eric says, who is Pete? Pete is the guy who runs the Cedric and Ada channel, who has done a ton of cut tests. I'll show you. So if you look up Cedric and Ada, boom, here you go. Why is it called Cedric and Ada? I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say that those are the names of his dogs. Never a bad choice. But if you like watching content on knife testing, Cedric and Ada has been doing it for a very long time, and he catalogs all of his results. You can look it up. In fact, this sheet right here is available via Google Drive publicly in the video descriptions of Cedric and Ada's videos. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, check it out. And the more you find out, the more questions you might have. But that's the fun of it. That's the fun part. All right. Let me see. What am I missing here? I know I'm missing something. Scott Brew has a question. He says 3V or 10V. I have the Kaiser harpoons in both. Both are coated. It depends on what you want. Do you want more toughness or do you want more wear resistance? So, for example, if you want to compare the two, I'll show you. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to clear my last search on here. So, if you want to compare the two, we can go over it real quick. 3V and 10V. So, neither of these are what I would consider or what anyone would consider to be stainless. So, get that down the road immediately. You're not getting a stainless steel with either of these. What you are getting is going to depend upon what you want. Do you want more toughness or do you want more wear resistance? So for example, CPM 10V, and I'll zoom in for the people in the back. A CPM 10V has a toughness rating of 5 and 3V has a toughness rating of 9. Also, the wear resistance on 10V is much higher than it is on 3V. But 3V also does have slightly better corrosion resistance. Neither of them are considered stainless. One's just going to be slightly more corrosion resistant than the other, or at least that is how Laren Thomas has rated them. PNW Funwork says, do you happen to know where I can get a custom blade made? I want to change my blade on my Cold Steel Spartan for S90V. I just need the blade made. Ooh. So that is a tough one because, I mean, you could ask Transparent Knives. I have a feeling that he probably wouldn't do it. Reblades are a different story. I don't have any connections for reblades. All right. Oh, he says, yeah, I'm already a subscriber. I'm assuming you mean to Cedric and Ada. He's great. Yeah. Pete is the name of the guy that runs the Cedric and Ada channel. I'm a big fan. I wish I had the space to do those kinds of tests. One of these days I will. Lone Star says, the cats have gathered in their assembly area. They are demanding to be fed. It's now after 6 a.m. here. You better feed them. Let me tell you, cats are only a few missed meals away from us becoming their food. This is a fact. All right, guys. I'm going to kill the music Wanted to say thank you to everybody who participated in the live Q&A, which is ending now. These live streams, of course, go for an hour. We went a little bit over an hour. I was having fun with you guys. And they go for an hour because it's late. It's super late. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody who donated during the live stream tonight. Thank you. Know that everything helps. Every bit of support helps. It helps keep the channel going. It helps keep me going. And I appreciate it. Whether you subscribe, comment, like, join the live streams, whether you're a channel member, everything matters. Everything makes a difference. So thank you guys. We will be live again on Wednesday. My live streams happen at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, or 7 p.m. Pacific. So I hope you can make it. If so, I will see you soon. And if not, I'll see you later.